encounter the dreaded message from SolidWorks. SolidWorks was unable to locate such and such file. Would you like to find it yourself? I think we probably all have seen that. The second problem companies often experience is poor performance opening and saving files when the files are accessed on network drives. We all know that 3D data sets can get quite large and create a lot of network traffic during these operations. Copying and opening files to a local workstation is typically faster than opening directly. But when you use this method in a collaborative environment, it causes other issues, which we'll get into in a little bit. Next, we have wasted time searching for files. Windows offers some search tools, but it's limited in what it can actually search for, and users often resort to browsing through numerous folders. Since many companies name their files with a part number, users need to open them to verify that they have found what they're looking for. They can use eDrawings or SolidWorks Viewer or SolidWorks itself, but they still need to investigate further into the file. And after a period of time of not finding the right file, they resort to just recreating it, which is obviously a big waste of time. The fourth common problem is it's difficult to maintain past versions of files. It's common and often necessary to keep old versions of files in history. To do this, files either need to be renamed with the version or revision added to the file name, or sometimes they're copied to an archive folder. We know it can happen when files are renamed, and often entire data sets are copied because it takes too long to figure out exactly what files have changed, so the whole data set just gets copied. This results in a lot of unnecessary duplicate files. Number 5 on our list is work being lost due to files being inadvertently overwritten. This is common when files are copied locally, edited, and copied back to the shared drive, because another user might be doing the same thing at the same time and overwrite somebody else's work. Last and certainly not least is the manufacturing the wrong version or revision of a design. It's probably happened to most of us. You create a new drawing or 3D model revision and save it to where manufacturing usually looks for the information, but manufacturing wasn't aware of any change, and they used the same tool paths or the same manufacturing methods they used for the previous release. This is where mistakes get really costly for both the company and maybe for the employee as well. All right, let's take a quick time out for another quick poll. Here we'd like to know if you've ever lost or overwritten a file with your current file management methods. Even if people have the best intentions at heart and try to be as diligent as possible, the sheer number of files and relationships makes it difficult to avoid.
So it looks like most people have voted, looks like around 80% yes and 20% no, Kurt.
Okay, that sounds about right. And because maybe the 20% that are using a data management system, aren't having that problem. All right, is the poll closed?
Yeah, just close it up, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so we're going to talk about each one of these problems in detail. Remembering the first problem we looked at was concerning lost references. The Enterprise Pdm, I'm sorry, I might say ePDM during this this presentation. I mean, when I meant to say Enterprise Pdm, that's our official product name, SolidWorks Enterprise Pdm. So the Enterprise Pdm solution to this problem is addressed in the following key capabilities. First of all references are automatically updated when files are moved or renamed. Due to Enterprise Pdm being built right into Windows Explorer, users can employ the exact same methods and keystrokes to move and rename files, and Enterprise Pdm takes care of all the file references. For instance, if a part is used in many assemblies, any Enterprise Pdm will update all the assemblies to point to the correct location and/or file name. And there's no need for any of the files to be open in SolidWorks. It does it completely behind the scenes. The rights to rename, move, and delete files can be assigned to a particular users or groups based on location and what workflow state they're in. We won't have time to really get into Enterprise's electronic workflow capabilities, but at a high level, it does allow you to model your company's best practices for how documents move through various approvals and sign-offs, and automatically sends notification to users when changes are made. Okay, the second problem, which deals with poor performance related to accessing files over a network. Cliff, that looks a little bit like you at your desk. Enterprise Pdm solves this issue by providing the best of both worlds. It stores all the files in a centralized vault, but provides the benefits of working locally through the use of the vault view that appears to the user just like another location on the hard drive. Here's how it does it. Files are automatically downloaded when needed. The system knows if a user has the files they need and will automatically pull them from the server. The user can still see the files aren't locally cached and can quickly see all the file attribute information. Only files that are out of date or not cached are downloaded, keeping network traffic to an absolute minimum. Open and save operations occur at the workstation level, which is much faster than over a network. The check-in operation copies new versions to the vault. Users gain write access to files only when they check out the file, and the check-in operation copies a new version to the vault. Local cache or vault view is constantly monitored, letting other users know if new versions have been created or new files have been added. And since many companies use an engineering and design teams located in different geographic locations, files can be automatically replicated to remote servers for quick access over their LAN instead of over the wide area network. This can be done via schedule and on an as-needed basis or an on-demand basis. Right, let's move on to problem 3, searching. As we talked about before, searching for SolidWorks data using standard Windows capabilities falls short on what a user can actually search on and how the results are displayed. Here's how Enterprise Pdm answers this. There are robust search tools right inside Windows Explorer and any file open dialog. This means even if you choose to store other document types, like Word and Excel files, you can browse or search the vault while using the file open dialogs for those applications. So basically any Windows application that you have will be able to browse into the vault. Enterprise Pdm will even read and write custom properties to Office documents as well as many other file types. So it's not just for SolidWorks files, it's for really any file types you can put on a Windows system. You can create and store favorite searches. After users spend a little time entering some search criteria, such as finding all the SolidWorks drawings that are waiting for approval, they can save it as a favorite so it's readily available for next time, and they can share it with other users or groups. There's customizable search input dialogs. Depending on a user's job function or department, they may want to have different options for entering search criteria. For instance, somebody in manufacturing who receives a work order with a list of part numbers may want just a single input field for the part number, whereas someone in engineering may want to search by multiple items such as description, material type, and project. Next, since all search input may not be included in the file name or custom properties, content search will find text in drawing notes, specification sheets, etc., even if it's in other file formats like MS Office or PDFs. Say you're looking to find all the documents that reference a specific finish or paint spec number, which is commonly included in the drawing notes and not in the file custom properties. Content search would locate the documents that contain the spec number, and so if there's an update, you would know what documents would need to go and change. All design data is stored and managed in one location, so there's only one place a user needs to look for it. Even if the files are on a remote replicated server, the Enterprise Pdm database houses all the data and provides it to the users. And there's quicker browsing due to organized and consistent vault structure. Even if the user still prefers to browse, Enterprise Pdm can be easily configured to create new folder structures in a controlled, consistent manner, so users know what to expect in each subfolder listing. And with the Windows Explorer preview tabs, which we'll see shortly in the demonstration, users have instant access to file data and viewing while they're browsing. Let's move on to problem 4, the problem of maintaining past versions of files. Enterprise Pdm takes care of this by automatically creating new versions with every check-in. Users can easily retrieve older versions, even while working in SolidWorks, so you can see what a design looked like in past release and how it might work in a new design. Access to older versions can be controlled via user rights because sometimes using old design is not really the best. And to save space on the server drives, older versions can be automatically deleted or moved to other storage locations and retrieved in the future if needed. All right, the fifth problem we looked at was overwriting files by mistake. This is easily solved by Enterprise Pdm. Here's how. Only one user can have write-X at a time via the checkout operation, so two people cannot be modifying the same file at the same time. Users can still work within the same assembly simultaneously. They just check out the part or subassembly they need to work on and check it back in when they're done. Changes are stored in new versions, which maintains past work. So even if somebody does make a change that messes up another assembly, that assembly can still be retrieved in its as-built state. Users know who currently has a file checked out, whether they're working in SOLIDWORKS, browsing in Windows Explorer, or in their search dialogues. As I alluded to in the first bullet point, others can access checked out files, but they just can't modify them. Also, if a new version really creates a mess, or if the modification is no longer going to be considered, the ability to roll back removes the new versions that are no longer needed, and the next one on the list is now the latest version. All right, so the last thing we looked at dealt with manufacturing the wrong version of a design. Here's how Enterprise Pdm can help avoid costly mistakes on the manufacturing floor. First, having a centralized storage of files eliminates duplicates saved on various servers and workstations. Thus, there's only one place where people need to go to obtain the data they're looking for. Users can receive automatic notification via email when changes occur, so no one needs to remember who they should send an email to when changes do occur. And lastly, Enterprise Pdm can control who has rights to access files based on the release status in the electronic workflow. So either where the file is located or where the file is in its workflow state. So when engineering is making design iterations before an actual release, only certain users and groups would be able to access those intermediate versions that may not be ready for production. All right, so our third poll question, which asks, what single feature would you be most looking for in a PDM solution? Another way to look at this is, which of the possible answers would bring you the most benefit?
Kurt, I'm still allowing more people time to vote here, but it looks like overwhelmingly version control, over 60%. I can give people a little bit more time here to answer. 80% is almost in.
Version control can be. I was just going to say version control can be kind of tricky without the PDM system doing it for you.
All right, looks like everybody's voted. I'm going to close it up. We have 62% version control, 10% for search, and 10% for where used, and 10% for other, and last but not least is file backup.
Okay. Fantastic.
At 8%.
Okay. All right, now let's take a look at the Enterprise Pdm in action. I'm just going to switch from PowerPoint over Windows Explorer, and my little handy link here should bring up Windows Explorer. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, Enterprise Pdm is built right into Windows Explorer, so users don't need to have another program or interface to deal with. As you can see here in my Windows Explorer dialog, there is a connection point to the Enterprise Pdm right under my C drive list, and it's highlighted by this blue and white icon we kind of affectionately refer to as the blueberry. So when I double-click on this, it's just going to ask me to log in. I'm going to log in as Neil, who's a member of the engineering group. I haven't assigned a password for Neil to save on typing time here, but I'll just go ahead and log in. And once I log in, and I should mention that that you can tie in the login to Active Directory, so users wouldn't need to remember another username or password. So once I'm logged in, you can see that the way that the vault is organized here. Okay. And we also changed the way the screen is displayed. We split the screen. We have these preview tabs along the bottom which display all kinds of useful information about the selected file or folder. In the file list on top, we not only see standard columns offered by Windows Explorer, but we also see additional columns that can display file attribute information like description or part number like I have here, revision, and so on. I have this vault set up where each department has their own folder branch. You can set the structure up any way you like. You could actually just mimic the way that you have your shared drives set up. You can even copy and paste files from other locations right into here just using Control-C, Control-V, or the standard copy and paste menu options from Windows Explorer. As I browse into my engineering area here, you can see that I have contains a set of folders, project folders that are numbered sequentially, as well as folders for ECN, SOLIDWORKS Toolbox, and my standard libraries, which is connected to my design library in SOLIDWORKS. The projects were all set up using a template function, so each one is automatically numbered and contains the same subfolder structure. So if I look at project 2009, you can see that structure, and going back up here to project, you can see it has the exact same structure, which makes it very easy to navigate. Let's dig a little deeper into one of my projects where I have some SOLIDWORKS files. So under my design data folder, you can see I have some SOLIDWORKS file. I'll click on this top assembly here, and I'll get to that data card in a second. The first tab in my preview tabs is actually the preview, and I have it set up so I just see the bitmap show up. But if I do click on that bitmap, it'll actually bring up the eDrawings viewer right inside Windows Explorer. So right in here I can pan, rotate, zoom. I can even do measure. I can look if there's any markups included with the file and so on. So even if I'm browsing, I see the instant information that I need that I might be able to select the correct file. The data card, as it first came up, is just a nice way to display the information about the file. So assembly number, description, we have a tab for each configuration, and a company can set this up any way they choose. The version tab, you can see here it says 8 of 8. It shows the version information of the file I currently have in my local cache, and will display different icons on the tab itself if I have older versions of files. So if I click down here on this assembly, you can see that I don't have the latest version, and it throws up a nice little icon there for me saying I have version 11 of 12. And if I select this file, I get that red X, and that just lets me know that I don't have the file in my local cache at all, but I can still see its data card. I know it's a version, if it's a part, so it doesn't have a bill of material, and I can see where it's used. So right here, it'll show me all the files that it's used on in the entire vault, so I don't need to go searching for that either. I'll go back up to my assembly now, and we'll take a look at the BOM tab, which are the bill of material tab. And this tab displays the bill of material in several different ways. I can have different BOM templates set up, so one for manufacturing that lists different information like material and part type, whether it's purchased or manufactured. And this BOM, and when in the BOM view, I can also just hover over each part, and it shows me a little bitmap thumbnail of what it is. And if I choose to, right from here, and I don't even need SOLIDWORKS, I can export this BOM to Excel via CSV, and maybe that can be used in a downstream system. The Contains tab is similar to the BOM tab information, but all the references of the file are shown. Where the BOM tab will respect the SOLIDWORKS settings for don't display in BOM or don't expand children when used as a subassembly, the Contains tab will show all the references that the assembly has made, and also what version it's referencing and configuration names and so on. And these columns can be turned off and added to and rearranged if needed. The Where Used tab is extremely valuable when setting out to make a change because it will show everywhere a file is used. This makes a decision whether you're going to create a new revision or create a new part number pretty beneficial. So selecting parts like so, it shows me this part is used on this subassembly, which is shown on this drawing, and it's got a number of different configurations it's also used in. All right, let's start to modify some of these files just to show you how Enterprise handles the changes. Okay, on this particular file here, I'm just going to go ahead and slow double click. I'm just going to change the file name to 003 at the end. Okay, that's all I need to do is double click. And a user would need those rights to do so. And I'm going to move this file. I'm going to move this file to my standard library and in my parts and in my hardware. And I can just do this by dragging and dropping, just like I would in Windows. Okay, so now that file's off. But if I look in the Contains tab, you can see that the file has been updated. And just to prove that, let's go ahead and we'll open up this bearing tube assembly here right inside SOLIDWORKS. So right from I'll just go ahead and open. The file will load up here in SOLIDWORKS. And first of all, I want to show you this. Let me just turn that plane off down there. Over here in my feature tree, which can be pinned or not pinned, this is a task pane integration. for Enterprise Pdm. And you can see it lists the file tree. It lists if I have any files that aren't the latest version, which is happening here with this file that's highlighted in yellow. It shows me if somebody else has it checked out, and here I'm saying my musician friend has got this particular file checked out. So on this one, if I want to get the latest, I just right-click on it and say Get Latest Version. If you watch down here by the keyway, you can see that the keyway on the shaft has changed with that older version. So I can, if I want to go back and get that previous version, I can do so. You can see the longer keyway, and just getting latest on it brings in the new design. So I can quickly go back and forth between different versions, even while I'm just working in SolidWorks. Now let's make a design change to this assembly. All I need to do is I can right-click on this file and check out, or I could use the icon up here, or I could use the drop-down here, or I could come over to my feature manager, and the Enterprise Pdm operations are built in. If I want to check out a part file, I can even do that right here from my right-click menu, right in the graphics area, so I don't even need to lose my focus on where I'm working. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and this particular component here, this bearing, we'll just replace that bearing. I'll just use the Replace Components command. And I'm going to browse in this case, okay, because I want to show you the built-in search command. So right here is one of my search input dialog boxes. I've just got a real simple search here that will actually look for any string I put in here and any file name, any configuration name, or any custom property or variable that's part of the system. So I can run my search on that, and it'll quickly find anything with 207 in the part name. You can see I got quite a list here. So I can sort by name, by number, description, whatever. But in this case, I'm gonna pick that part we just changed, and right in my search results, I can look at a preview, I can look at the data card, I can see where that file might be used, and you can see it was used in the same assembly, but it was used on an older version. But that's the one I want. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit the Open button, and SolidWorks is going to replace my component, and all my mates are nice and tidy, so I'm all done. Okay. So as you can see inside the tree here, the icon for the assembly, and I better just check that assembly out, and it brings up a good point here. I made a change to this assembly while it was in read-only mode. You can see up here in the SolidWorks dialog, it was in read-only. But EPDM is forgiving, so when I do check this out, and if I had more time here, I'd check out the drawing, but it does show me the drawing that's associated with this because I'm changing this. The drawing's probably got a bill of material on it I'll have to update, so I could check out the drawing at the same time. But I'll just check out the assembly. Okay. And then we're ready to go, and we can just check it right back in. All right, so that completes the demonstration portion of it. It was fairly quick, but let's continue on here. Whoops. All right, got to go back. Getting back to the presentation, I just want to mention some important areas of Enterprise Pdm that we didn't have time to talk about today. First one here, electronic workflow. As you remember, this allows companies to model their processes in EPDM and cut the time and effort required with paper-based or manual process. This also ties into the next item, which is automatic notifications. This will send out emails when changes occur and can be set up to use the internal EPDM mail system or any SMTP compliant system like Outlook or Lotus Notes. EPDM comes with multiple CAD integrations as well. So for companies that also use AutoCAD, Inventor, SolidEdge, Pro-E, they can manage that data in a single environment. There's templates for creating new files and folder structures, an easy-to-use administration tool for configuring the whole system. So it's very easy. It's all point and click. There's no special codes or programming that you need to do to make changes. And once those changes are made, it's instant in the system. There's no updates or any software to push out. And EPDM is all-inclusive. It even includes SQL Server, which is the database behind the system. And so there's no separate modules to buy. You get the workflow, replication, all the CAD integrations, everything. Even if you just bought one seat, you get everything included.